Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel where I'm guessing we're all in a nice bright cheery mood, right? Because what an afternoon of football. 3-1 to Brighton, as we saw. What? What happened? What was so bad about it? What was the problem? What went so horribly wrong for Ten Hag? What was the big problem with this 4-4-2 diamond? There was plenty of problems in this game. And I know what the reaction from everyone is going to be like. And honestly, normally I'm someone who sits here and goes, it's not as bad as it looks, right? And to a degree, it's still not. We'll come on to that. But wow, oh wow, it was bad. Wow, oh wow, it was bad. How are you guys in chat? I hope you're all well. I think the most important thing to say before we really get into it is, remember it's a game of football at the end of the day. Don't let it ruin your mood. You know, it's hopefully a nice day outside wherever you are. Don't let it ruin your mood. But how are we feeling? What's our response to that game? Give me kind of a 3-word summary. What are we thinking? Codename, Mr. Friday stream. Prepare to sacrifice my sleep, since we'll be sleepless night. It will be a sleepless night for most United fans, I think, after that. No worries for missing the stream the other day, though. I hope you're well. AJ, I told you Brighton 3-1 on Friday, I remember. You actually did. I remember. Yeah, you called it. I remember. Yeah. Did you curse us? Someone's saying we're awful. Shake's saying I am so done. Just like I said, keep getting in chat, guys. Let me know what you're thinking. I'm gonna bounce off your vibe today, guys. I'm gonna get an idea of how you guys are feeling, and that's the energy I'm gonna bring. Do we want to rant? No, we don't want to rant. Classic bottle job played right into their hands. Very naive. I think today Ten Hag deserves criticism. I've defended this man so much, and I still back him. Talks of pressure on him. He's fine. He's fine. He's the right manager for the job still. But it was poor management. And someone's just put it in there in chat just as I was saying it. Poor in-game management. And that was really concerning. We make Brighton look like prime Barcelona. Yeah, pretty much. Played it right into the hands. I don't understand why we keep conceding the same goal almost every game. Yeah. This is horrific. At the end, he had Bruno as a sweeper. Amrabat would have been massive today. Brighton lost McAllister and Caicedo and still played us off the park at Old Trafford. Yeah, I mean, you guys are hitting the nail on the head, really. One thing, we are going to start, right, with a bit of defence for Erik Ten Hag. Maybe not where you would expect me to start. But I will give him just one bit of defence. This is where I'm going to give him a bit of leeway. Look at the bench which United used today. If you look at midfield options, you know, the hub of the football pitch where players can come in and make an impact, Hannibal, Medjugorje and Dangor. Good footballers in their own right, but let's be honest here, there's a level you expect in the Premier League. Are those two players at that level right now? No. So, trust me, I'm fuming at this performance and this result. But we do have to apply context that Kobe Mainoo's out, Amrabat's out, Mason Mount is out. That's expensive. They are really good players. Why take off Højlund though? I think he's just not fit. He hasn't played more than 45 minutes yet in a game this season. This was the most he's played, so it's just a fitness thing. I saw Ten Hag obviously got booed when that sub happened. That was people not really thinking logically. Højlund couldn't play 90 minutes. We knew that because of fitness issues since moving, so don't worry about the Højlund thing. That isn't on Ten Hag. That's just a fitness thing with Højlund. He just needs to get up to speed, but I thought he played really well when he was on the pitch. I love Ten Hag, but with this rate, he will get sacked. We'll have to see. It's partly his fault. He has booted Sancho out of the team. That's also on Sancho as well, right? Casemiro starting to look like a problem. I've been calling Casemiro as a problem for some time. I thought this was horrendous. I thought this was really bad from Casemiro. I think what I've been pointing out quite a lot so far this season is the problem of Casemiro in possession. That, you know, he's a bit loose on the ball sometimes. He tries to play forward too quickly. And that was absolutely still a problem in this game. But the more concerning thing for me, and, you know, it's been there all season so far, is defensively, he's nowhere near it. Nowhere near it. He can't move. He looks like a bus going through mud when he's trying to run backwards. So let's say, you know, in a situation where perhaps United have pressed some players high, or maybe United have been in the attack, you've kind of committed some men forward, and you're going to get Lallana, for example, maybe in this sort of area here. Now, Lallana isn't exactly a spring chicken himself, but Lallana's going to drop deep, get on the turn, and go into this area. The inability for the likes of Casemiro and Eriksen physically, you know, I'm talking about stamina, we're talking about mobility. They just can't keep up. It's non-existent. The protection for these centre-backs. I thought the centre-backs were poor. Lisandro Martinez and Lindelof. I don't think either of them had a great game. I thought their box defence was really bad. But there's no protection there. One of the reasons there's no protection is because the press was off again, which we'll come on to. Brighton had a solution which United couldn't deal with. But it's really concerning here that the United midfield is so easy to go through. United played 4 central midfielders at times in this game. Out of possession, it was often a diamond. Now, Brighton done a really good job of pulling them out, pulling them into different positions, which we'll go into. And also, if you're new to the channel, by the way, first of all, like the stream, subscribe. But tomorrow, we will have a video properly analysing and breaking down this game. But it's really concerning. I think Casemiro, since the second suspension, had downward spiral, completely agree. Eriksen and Casemiro both are bad defensively, especially in terms of mobility. Enough context, we are relying on moments to changing to win games instead of tactical setup to maintain the ball in the final third. I agree, it's too direct. Best player in the pitch today is Reguilon. I agree. I would like to see Casemiro dropped as soon as possible. Now, I'm not saying that he needs to be dropped because he's a horrendous footballer and he should never be played again. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, footballers need to know that they're not undroppable. That your spot in a team is not guaranteed. You can't be a guaranteed starter in the team. Casemiro isn't playing well enough. He needs to be taken out of the team and hopefully bring Amrabat in. Scott McTominay hides from the ball. Let me just find his numbers. Was it 18 passes today? Was it? It was something like that, I believe. Let me see if I can find the number. Scott McTominay had 22 touches and 15 out of 17 passes. Now, I'm not saying Scott McTominay was bad as such, but he just weren't there. Just doesn't go and get the game. What do you think of Marcus Rashford? Because I've seen criticism for him online. I thought he was brilliant in this game. I thought he's got to improve his decision making in the final third. There's one where he gets to the byline and people are saying he should have played it to Rasmus Højlund. I don't actually think the cross is on in that instance. I think if he tries to cross it, it gets deflected. But to be fair, he probably wins a corner. I thought his decision making was poor, but I do think he offered something really direct. Veltman and Van Heck were terrified of him. Absolutely terrified of him. What did I tell you in my tactical preview? That Brighton are exposed in this exact area here. Where did Rashford get time and time again? Right into these areas. I thought Rashford was the only United player which looked like he could get a goal in this game. But that final ball, that final decision does need to be better. And it's weird because he seems to have spells in his career almost where he goes through 4 months where he makes the right decision every time and he looks on fire and gets loads of goals and assists. Then he'll go for another few months where he just makes the wrong decision, the wrong shot, the wrong pass, and looks quite poor. It's weird. He needs to get better in like a more consistent final end product and more importantly final decision. But I still thought he looked like the one player who could get something from this team. So a lot of people saying he looked wasteful, only looking to shoot, and I do agree. But again, would United have even had a half chance without Rashford today? That's what you've got to consider. Should Rashford have done better? Absolutely. I'm not trying to defend him too much here. His end product does need to improve. That final pass, again, that final decision. But do you think if Rashford didn't play this game, do you think anyone else would have... Do you think United even create a shooting opportunity without Rashford? I'm not sure they do. Rashford showed the highest ceiling and the lowest basement. That's a really good way of putting it. Yeah, of course Medbury scored a worldie, but I mean, you know, typically. Any resistance and we crumble, it feels like that. It feels like a mentally weak side at times. Someone replied with a comment earlier saying we should get a psychologist on the channel to talk about the United players, and I wish I could do it because it's not great. Like I said, tomorrow we will properly break this down and really go into it and talk about the tactical side of the game. Today's more about immediate reaction, getting your thoughts, talking about a few players. Thoughts on a disallowed goal. Personally, have no idea how they can be sure the whole ball is out. It's a difficult one, right? Is the ball out? No idea. Genuinely no idea. It's so close. But what I would say, and I don't even mean this because it was United who had the goal disallowed, I think most football fans would rather see a world where the benefit of the doubt is given to the attacker. Where we're going to see more goals, because if we're unsure, if it's literally 50-50 toss of a coin decision, can we give it to the attacker just so we see more goals? Because at the end of the day, it's what we pay to see. I don't know if that can happen or not. What I will say about Rashford, though, is off the ball, there's a real problem. A genuine real problem. Because we come into this game, and when I've done my tactical preview, for example, I'm thinking of ways on how you beat Brighton. So something which West Ham done really well, they destroyed Brighton. What West Ham done was they went for a 4-1-4-1, like this. Now, we wanted Rasmus to play this game, so he had to be striker. You look at Rashford and you go, he's not going to do the defensive work on the left-hand side of the midfield. And that's a genuine concern, because Marcus Rashford's lack of defensive work off the ball is costing you and limiting you from a tactical point of view. That's a problem. And the codename said it as well there. It's about his body language as well is really poor. So let's quickly touch on it from a tactical point of view, right? So what are Brighton looking to do when they're playing the ball out from the back? So Brighton are playing the ball out from the back. We know they'll always do this. They'll take their time. They'll be patient on the ball. Rasmus Højlund, I thought, had a really good job of pressing. I thought his intensity was good, but also his approach, his intelligence, his angles of pressing were largely good. Not always perfect, but I thought he'd done pretty well. Marcus Rashford started the game okay on the press, and basically what was happening was what you typically see when you play with a diamond. That when the hood drops here, Bruno Fernandes is there. Højlund and Rashford are kind of coming from wide to in to try and stop the pass being played here to the fullback. And early on, first 20 minutes, United looked good. United's press was good. They were winning the ball nice and high up the pitch, getting into dangerous areas, did not take their chances. Wasteful. Brighton make a slight tweak. What Brighton do is they push the fullbacks much, much higher and move the wingers a little bit more central and move the midfielders a little bit deeper. This now causes all sorts of problems for United, and genuinely I didn't feel that from this point, when was this change made? Around the 20th minute probably? I felt that from the minute this change was made, United did not stand a chance in this game. And this is where, before we go into it, we can criticise Ten Hag. Because De Zerbi saw that in the first 20 minutes things weren't going his way, and without even changing the personnel, he just changes the structure. He just moves players into different positions, different timing of movement. Ten Hag didn't do that. De Zerbi done it after 20 minutes. Ten Hag was unable to do it after 90 odd, which is definitely concerning. Again, you've got to question the personnel, but I just don't like this structure. Because what's now happening here is because these two fullbacks are moved so much further forward, it means United can't connect their fullbacks at all to the press. But now you've got Lallana and Pascal Gross dropping into these areas. Now, does Casemiro need to follow in here? Not too sure. Eriksen, does he need to get dragged into this position? Not too sure. But what happens from here is that with Rashford not really playing with the intensity, the ball goes in here, the ball goes wide to Veltman, and Reguilón is stuck. He's stuck. Because do I go aggressive to Veltman? Well, if I do, I'm leaving space in behind for Adingra, who is going to get challenged by Lisandro Martinez. Welbeck is in room, and this is what leads to the first goal. But at the same time, if Reguilón decides, okay, I'm not going to go tight to Veltman, I'm going to drop off, Veltman can carry the ball half the football pitch because Eriksen doesn't have the physicality to get back in, because Casemiro doesn't have the physicality and the mobility to get in. This was a big problem for all of the goals. Now, I'm just trying to think back to what the other two goals were, but the first goal in particular was literally this move happening. It was Eriksen, and this is where you've got to question Ten Hag a little bit, because Christian Eriksen is so good technically, right? We know he's really good on the ball, he's a good passer, but what we know he isn't is a physical, mobile player who's quick and snappy and got stamina to last for 90 minutes. Now again, feel a little bit sorry for Ten Hag because he couldn't play any other midfielders here really. He could have played Hannibal, but realistically, I think if Hannibal had played over Eriksen, we would have questioned it in the starting 11. But the problem is, if you're building in a system where the ball's going to go into Gross here and then out to Veltman, you're constantly asking Eriksen to cover 15 to 20 yards to get out to Veltman, which the time it takes for him to do that just opens up a space somewhere else. We saw a similar problem down the other side. Now, Lamptey being right-footed wasn't quite as adventurous as what Veltman was at times, so it was a bit easier for Scott McTominay, and also Scott McTominay naturally is more physical, covers more ground. But it was a big problem where these wide United players in the diamond, with Brighton pushing their fullbacks really high, and the wingers are also high and wide pinning the fullbacks, United had this problem of who goes out and covers the fullbacks. It's got to be the wide midfielders, but as I step, Now I'm leaving room in here with Lallana dropping deep, Danny Welbeck dropping deep. I thought early on Lissandro Martinez done a good job on Welbeck, following him into these areas. But what did we see? After 20 minutes, a slight tweak. Welbeck moves this way a little bit more. Lindelof isn't as aggressive. And this is the problem, because now, even if Bruno Fernandes puts in a really top shift to get back here, it's a lot of ground for him to cover. And now these balls are being played around the corner, and then it's just too easy for Brighton to play through. I thought on the ball, United were okay in this game. They were not setting the world alight, but it was okay. Defensively, the press was really concerning. It feels like the first line of press is quite good. If you look at United's stats so far this season, the first line of press is pretty good. The turnovers in these high areas, pretty decent statistically. But the second these first 3 or 4 players are beaten, it's so easy to get past. Because fullbacks aren't connected to presses. We've got midfielders who can't move. No offence, lads, but they can't really move in these areas. It's a real problem. These tactics would have worked with Fred instead of Eriksen. It's not a bad shout at all, truthfully. It is not a bad shout at all. But yeah, this is what I mean. And also the other problem, and this is something which Ten Hag spoke about earlier in the season, is that once the United press is beaten, not only do the midfield retreat quite poorly, they don't have the mobility, the negative transition intensity of the forward is not good enough. Marcus Rashford isn't the sort of player who, Van Heek's got the ball, Rashford applies the pressure, even if he does it well, the ball goes past him like this. Rashford isn't a player which wants to negatively transition, which means running back towards his own goal. He doesn't want to do it. It's a problem. It is a real problem. The other problem is that not only are Casemiro and Eriksen not mobile, they don't look like they can win a duel. So even if Eriksen does get over to someone, he doesn't have the intensity. If Casemiro gets over to someone, he's always seems so flat-footed. Oh, Jesus, that was a voice crack and a half. Casemiro, right, it feels like he knows in himself that I'm not very quick, which means I don't want to be running back towards my own goal because I'm going to get caught out. Because I'm not very quick going backwards, I need to be aggressive going forward. So Casemiro is always diving in, but he always ends up quite flat-footed. And Lallana just needs to go, whoop, see you later, mate. He drops the shoulder and he's past him every time. Every time. And it's really concerning. It's really concerning. We're going to do videos during the week and moving forward, trying to figure out how to solve certain problems, absolutely. But there is a concern here, a real problem. Now, enough of the negativity. Let's say Amrabat's in this team. You see something a little bit different, right? Because he covers ground much better. He's also much better on the ball. Chad, you saying this match made me rewrite my will. I'll help you again if you need to, mate. Don't worry, I got your back. But Amrabat should help this. Kobe Mainu should help this. Mason Mount should help this because he's more mobile. But at the same time, there's problems tactically here for United. I would start Hannibal over McTominay. Scott was invisible, often on the ball. Yeah, it's a weird one with McTominay, right? Because McTominay didn't actually do badly once he got the ball. His pass completion numbers were good. He completed his dribbles. He carried the ball well. But he just was never near it. Yeah, I'm aware Amrabat isn't that quick, but it's more about mobility. He does have that kind of couple yard acceleration. He also turns a bit better. Casemiro, just go through a compilation. Casemiro trying to turn to defend, doesn't happen. He just doesn't turn. He gets caught so flat. He kind of gets put in a situation where he's like this, and he's so flat-footed. He's not side-on ever. He's so flat-footed that players just knock it past him and go, and that's really concerning. Scott was at fault for the first goal. Yeah, we'll look through some of the goals tomorrow. Plus also, I think the idea perhaps more with Amrabat is that hopefully we see more possession, which means less defensive work. By the way, if you are in stream, I think you should leave a like. Like the stream if you're enjoying it. Like the stream. There's over 150 people here right now. Shout out you guys. I hope you're all well. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. If you want to make sure that I'm seeing your chat, because there's loads of people talking right now, you can use a super chat, which guarantees that I see it. Any money donated goes to either a new mic or a new camera so we can upgrade the channel. But of course, don't feel that you have to. It isn't just quickness with Casemiro, it's his positioning and over-aggression with tackles. Like I said, that's what I was saying earlier. I think he thinks I can't go backwards, so I have to go forward, and he just gets caught in no man's land time and time again. It's really frustrating because that first 20 minutes was good. The first 20 minutes was good. Now, I think at the same time, right, I've just spieled off a load of negatives, right? I just spoke very negatively about things. It's a game of fine margins, right? Football is the lowest scoring sport in the world. It's why, in my opinion, it's the best sport in the world, because it takes one moment. Literally, it's one of the only sports where literally 1 second can decide a whole tournament. It's crazy. We can talk 1 millimetre in this game. The same against Arsenal. United were 1 millimetre away from going 2-1 up against Arsenal. What a result that would have been. United were 1 millimetre away from going in at half-time level with Brighton. It could have been a completely different game. Yeah, you tell you're a fair partner, but keep it hush. But yeah, you tell them to like the stream. It could have been so different. It's fine margins. So it's important we don't overreact, but at the same time, we need to find a solution. Are there any positives we can take for today? Okay, we can talk about a couple of positives. I'll give you one big positive, actually, real quick. Reguilon. What a debut at left back. What a debut. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Flying forward down that left-hand side really suited him. Chad, are you cheating on KM? Because, yeah, Reguilon was brilliant. What I was saying when he first signed for the club, we talked about it in stream, is that you're not going to see too much of him in this area. Maybe not even this area. In the final third, though, he is genuinely good. He was someone who was, at least putting up a bit of a fight, going into tackles and things. So, yeah. Now, huge... Oh, I can't read your name, but we can't rely on these fine margins falling our way. Yeah, it's a... Like I said, the elite level is fine margins. So often, this game was quite 50-50 at a stage. Brighton score, with their first attack. The first time they'd done anything, really, they scored. So that's a fine margin in itself. But what you need to do is get better at football so the fine margins don't play as big a part. If you have more of the ball, if you're better defensively, the fine margins are more likely to go in your favour. So you are absolutely right. KM and Chad, you having a bit of a problem here. It's a game of inches. It's a game of millimetres, it seems, at the moment. Yeah, I'm not sure what the centre-backs were doing today. I thought Lisandro Martinez, like we said, started the game well. I thought that first 20 minutes, when United were playing well and pressing quite well early on, Lisandro Martinez was doing a really good job of going tight on Welbeck, and it meant that Brighton couldn't really find a way through the middle. But then, as the game went on, Welbeck just kind of moved a little bit to one side, more towards Lindelof, who he knows doesn't want to go be aggressive. And, yeah. What's the problem and what are the solutions? Have you got about 12 hours to talk about this? Lisandro Martinez has been off all season. Not sure what is wrong. Seems mentally not as there. Yeah, I'm truthfully not sure what's going on with Lisandro Martinez. I think Mainu and Amrabat will be our best two midfield at keeping the ball. Yeah, I would also think so. Hey FP, mate. How are you? Hope you're well. Hopefully today the stream doesn't cut off randomly. What's been discussed so far? Everything. We're just talking. We're not breaking it down tactically too much today, although we've done a little bit on it. As always, I'll have a video tomorrow. But basically, we're just talking about the concerns with certain players here. We're talking about Casemiro. We're talking about what was up with the centre-backs. What on earth was the structure? Where was McTominay? Everything. Does the Diamond have a long-term future with this team? I think the basic 4-4-2 Diamond as a principle doesn't work right now. I done a video, when did I do it? I think it might have been at the start of the week on Monday, and it's purely looking at the 4-4-2 Diamond shape. Could it work for United? And the conclusion that I came to was that naturally it doesn't. If you could hybrid it, maybe. But I don't like it personally. So concerned. Amrabat needs to come back ASAP. Yeah, Ten Hag's decisions were questionable. I mean, one thing I have said a couple of times, FP, is that it is difficult for him to make positive in-game changes when the midfield options were Hannibal and Dangor, but at the same time, he could have done better. What happened at the end of the game? How did Bruno end up being a libero? I don't know. I don't know what was going on there. I think it was just throw everything at it and hope for the best. That's a good point there. Someone saying, why on earth would United decide to press? Again, if you saw my preview, you'll see that I was saying don't bother pressing Brighton because they're so good out from the back. And if you are going to press, you've got to go man for man. You've got to be there. United didn't do that, and as a result, got destroyed. So yeah, that's probably another problem. Was that it's a bad decision to go press them, but it worked for 20 minutes. But it weren't good enough. You got to fix that press or don't do it. What was I going to say? Sorry. On Rashford, a few people are having a debate about this. I thought Rashford was good, personally. Largely. I thought, especially 55 minutes, for me, he felt like the only player which was going to do anything and create something and be a direct threat. However, at the same time, his decision-making needs to be way better. It does need to be way better. Way better. Brighton beat Arsenal 3-0 last season at the Emirates, beat Newcastle last game 3-1, beat us 3-1. All of these teams just keep pressing them. I think what we also need to take from that is Brighton are really good. United haven't just lost to a bunch of bums. This is a good team. United just played a really good team. But it's still disappointing. He is 25. He should be making mature decisions by now. Yeah, I also agree with that. I love Marcus Rashford, right? I'm a big fan of him, but he has his flaws. He has his flaws. He needs to work on it. He needs to get better at it. He has to. He has got better. He's improved in the past 12 months, but he needs to keep improving because he is not there yet. Yeah, 31 games unbeaten at Old Trafford comes to an end. My concern is no performance this season has been good. Yeah. This is what I was saying to my brother before the game, that if United were to lose this game and also to lose to Bayern, we're talking about 6 games into the season in all competitions, and one good performance probably against Forest where, take out the first 10 minutes, I thought United were quite good, but I have a question from Deadshot. Until the 17th minute, United dominated midfield, but then De Zerbi tweaked his tactics. Why didn't Ten Hag have solutions? Well, to be honest, I can tell you what the tweak was, right? We went over it a second ago. I can tell you what the tweak was tactically. The tweak was, okay, so initially United are pressing in a 4-4-2 diamond like this. This was what was happening initially. So when Steele goes to Van Heck, Rashford's going to come from out to in and mark him quite well. Eriksen's kind of in this area here, ready to press. Bruno's here. Højlund's also going from out to in here. So initially the press is working quite well. The wingers are tied down like this. When the ball goes into Welbeck, Lisandro Martinez is super aggressive. It was working pretty well. The problem was that Brighton made a tweak of Welbeck drops even deeper. Lallana drops deeper. All the midfielders are dropping deeper and compact. What does this do? It draws the United diamond onto them like this. But now it means that the fullbacks can go super high. The United fullbacks can't come get them because United don't like doing that, and they weren't able to because of the wingers anyway. So now, this pass is on all day long. Steele started hitting this pass more, but it could also be from Dunk to De Hood to Lamptey, or Van Heck to Gross to Veltman. This was a concern. Now Eriksen has way too much room to cover here, and McTominay has way too much room to cover here. At the same time, you can't go McTominay man for man on Lamptey and Eriksen out here, because look how much room you're now leaving in the middle. You're 4 versus 2. It's a real problem. So, in terms of what did De Zerbi do, he done this. What did Ten Hag do? Not a lot. And that's my problem. That's my concern. By the way, right now we have 200 people in stream. 200 people. Absolute legends. Would I continue with this system when Amrabat and Kobe Manu come back in? It's a difficult question to answer because obviously, to an extent, it depends on a game-to-game basis. Personally, I don't like the 4-4-2 diamond at the elite level in the Premier League. I don't think it's going to win you Premier League titles playing the 4-4-2 diamond. But those two could make it work very differently. I didn't mind it on the ball too much. I thought United were okay on the ball. Out of possession, there was a problem. So I think what would need to happen, basically, if United were to play this structure, is defensively, they can't go with two strikers like this. United either need to go, or sorry, they can't go like this in the press. They either need to go, say, a flat 4-4-2 out of possession like this, for example, but even then you'd question the personnel. It can't work as a typical 4-4-2 diamond. It just doesn't work. Not with his squad, but not with his personnel. Personally, I just don't think United should press anymore. Drop into more of a mid-block and this shape could maybe work a bit better, because the midfield have nowhere near as much ground to cover, but Ten Hag doesn't look like he's going to do that, which is, again, where I have problems with Ten Hag. Diamond is outdated. Yeah, I think formations go through spells, right, where we see an evolution. So what we'll see is we will see the 4-4-2 formation is the big formation, right? Then what we'll see is because you've got 4 flat midfielders, it means there's a hole in the middle between the 2 centre ones. So as a result, we then see the evolution of the 4-2-3-1 formation, because now you've got a player in the 10 between those 2 players in the 4-4-2. What's the next evolution? Teams are playing a 4-2-3-1. How do we match up against that? We play a 4-3-3, because now we have a defensive midfielder on the 10, so on, so on. 4-3-3 is now the popular formation. What is the kind of knock-on effect of that? We see the 3-box-3, which we've seen over the past 2 seasons. What's the result of that? Teams will then go to a 4-4-2, to 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3. It's always a cycle of formations. Formations always cycle. Sometimes it will be over 20 years, sometimes it will be over 3 years. A lot of the time, you will see a formation kind of coming back. It's rarely brand new formations. Why did every goal look like Arsenal's first goal at the Emirates? Because United didn't learn, I guess. That's probably the concern, right? I think what we would have said about last season, particularly early on, is that when United made a mistake in a game, whether it was a pressing issue or a certain type of goal they conceded or a player doing a certain thing, particularly in the first 6 months of last season, when United made a certain mistake, we didn't see the same mistakes in the next game. There tended to be a response. Even if United still didn't win, we saw those problems fixed. What we didn't see, or what we're not seeing at the moment, is quick fixes. That's a problem. United, like you said, these goals looked very similar to what we saw against Arsenal. It's concerning. AJ, who was the best United player today in your opinion? Like I said, I don't think Marcus Rashford played badly at all. I thought he done good, needed that in the product. I thought Rasmus Højlund was good. I thought he really showed a threat. I thought Eriksen was good in possession. Be interested to hear your guys' thoughts on this. But I thought Eriksen on the ball was quite good. Dalot done decent from a defensive point of view. And honestly, it's probably got to be Reguilón. This loss was basically the result of Ten Hag not wanting to compromise on his vision. Yeah, he wanted the team to go out and press all along, even if against one of the best pressure-resistant teams. Yeah, you're not wrong. Midfielders aren't tracking players back in the box. That's also a concern. When teams are attacking and getting into an area like this, for example, maybe they've got the ball out wide here, and you're going to have your striker in the middle who's going to take one of your centre-backs. You know, imagine United a proper deep defence here, and you're trying to trouble them. When we see a runner from like Lallana here or De Hood here, for example, the midfield are not tracking this at all. Like, players can just run off the back like this and get into these areas. Particularly off the back of someone like Eriksen, who just isn't good defensively. It's a problem. The other problem, though, is that these centre-backs are not doing a good enough job of defending the box. Lisandro Martinez, I really like him, right? On the ball, he's really good. Is his box defence that good? It's a concern. And we've known for years that Lindelof's isn't that great. You know, Maguire was always ahead of Lindelof for box defence. We spoke about it for ages under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You know, Lindelof's box defence wasn't that good. Varane goes a long way to covering up a lot of weaknesses because Varane's box defence is up there with the best in the world. This centre-back pairing's box defence is not very good. We've also then got Onana in goal, who isn't playing as well as you would want him to play. He's below par. I've spoke about him being a transformative signing, and I think he will be. We saw the glimpses of it against Arsenal. Even in this game, United played out from the back well. We'll discuss that more tomorrow. But Onana is another player who's not at the level you would want at the moment. His long passing is inconsistent at the moment, but do I think he should have saved any of the goals he conceded so far? I'm not too sure. Perhaps the third one. Perhaps the third one. But I think, just in general, you could maybe question the shot stopping a little bit. So, that's another concern. I think there's players all over the pitch not performing up to standard. Onana, we know, can do better. Luke Shaw, we know, can do a lot better than what he was doing before that injury. Lissandro Martinez has to do better. Lindelof has to do better. Dalot, done okay, but didn't really take his chance. Casemiro, horrendous, has to do better. McTominay has to do better, and is better than what he's shown. Bruno Fernandes is a bit better than what he's shown. Marcus Rashford's decision-making is better than what he's shown. It's concerning that the tactics aren't quite right, and the players also, individually, to a man, 90% of them aren't quite at the level you want them to be at, and what we know they can be at. You know what's going to happen when you do that. You're going to lose football matches, because this is the Premier League. It's the elite level where fine margins decide everything. If you have players not quite at it in a system which ain't quite there, we know you're going to lose football matches. We know it. United defence has been bad for a while, but De Gea has been a difference for many seasons. Yeah, I don't think last season so much De Gea really bailed his team out, but certainly in the past he did for sure. People saying De Gea saves 2 of them. I don't know. I think De Gea's shot stopping was awful last season. He had moments, but there were so many where he done badly. But there's no need to talk about De Gea because he's not here. Onana is a ball-playing goalkeeper, right? It's going to take a bit of time. Because the problem is maybe 4 years ago? Yeah. Casemiro, for example, dropping into these areas. Now, a lot of the time it's Eriksen because Casemiro can't do it. Casemiro, what I want you to do next time you watch United, right? Particularly when he receives the ball in his own half, I want you to check if Casemiro does this before he receives the pass, all right? Just one thing. Does he ever do this? He is always so caught out because his scanning and his awareness in possession is bad. It's bad. I could quite comfortably tell you 70 midfielders in the Premier League which scan better than what Casemiro does. And it's bad. And yeah, you highlight it there. Has the signing of Onana almost exposed the weaknesses of the midfield? In a sense, it has, yeah. Because now Casemiro is getting more of the ball. He's getting the ball in positions where you are going to come under pressure because you're trying to absorb the pressure because you've got a ball-playing goalkeeper. Onana has massively addressed one problem. United play better from the back because of Onana in goal. You cannot argue that. You cannot argue that. But because United are playing out more, the midfielders are being put into more situations where you've got to be a little bit press resistant. You've got to receive the ball under pressure, get on the turn. How's your first touch? And it's now exposing them. Casemiro's not very good at it. Eriksen's doing pretty well there, but we know it's not his strength. It's a problem. You seen Casemiro scan last season, though? I still think it was a concern last season. What I hope, right, is that Casemiro's slow start to the season is just that, a slow start. We saw it last year. He came in and we didn't see him playing. And it took time for him to get into the first team, and when he did, he was brilliant. I'm hoping we're seeing something similar this season, where he's just taking his time to kind of warm up a little bit. Then we see an elite player. Right? You tend to scan less when you're tired or unfit, particularly being tired, yeah. This is something I often refer to. When footballers are tired, they tend to go back to old habits. Your brain gets tired as well as your body. So you just kind of go to quickly getting the ball away. I hope, and I just hope Ten Hag survives this phase. I know he is the man that will win us the Premier League. We need patience, just like Arsenal did with Arteta. Yeah, don't turn on Ten Hag, right? If you're turning on Ten Hag, basically don't turn on Ten Hag. Ten Hag's not the problem. We know who the problem is, okay? It's not Casemiro. It's not Marcus Rashford's decision-making. It's not Scott McTominay hiding from the ball. It's not Ten Hag. It's not Eric Ramsey, the set-piece coach. We know who the problems at this football club are, right? They're much higher up than the manager. Okay, they are much higher up the club than the manager. That's where the real problems are. They own the football club. So don't turn on Ten Hag. He is being chucked into a team where it's not optimal. Do I think Ten Hag's got it right? Perfect. No, not at all. I think Ten Hag's made mistakes along the way. I think there's things that I would have done differently. But don't aim it at Ten Hag, right? Give him a bit of time. Please, give him a bit of time. Because, hand on heart, do I think... Okay, let's take Pep Guardiola. Someone asked me it in the stream the other day. Do you think Pep Guardiola would have won the first 5 games of the season with this squad? Because, truthfully, I don't. Now, you can argue he would have signed a different squad. I agree. I don't think he signs Casemiro. I think that was maybe poor profiling. But I don't think Pep Guardiola would be doing much with his team either, especially with so many players out injured. He'd have won a couple, yeah. The football would be better. But the point I'm trying to make is, look at this starting 11. We all have questions over Lindelof, whether he's top level or not. We've had it for years. We have that question over Dalot. Is he quite there? Everyone was so downbeat about the Reguilon signing because no one thinks he's good enough. Eriksen is ageing. Casemiro is ageing. We all have our thoughts on Scott McTominay. It's not an elite team. FP has just heard someone say that Mount lacks energy. Whoever that person is, probably don't listen to them. Ten Hag should go back to basics. We are excellent in transition and defending deep. Only when we have the players should we try to evolve. Yeah. The other question you have to ask, right? We're kind of comparing to Pep Guardiola a little bit here, and it sounds crazy to even make that comparison. But the thing with people, what I'm seeing is people saying Ten Hag's talent ID has been quite poor. For example, should Casemiro have been signed? Malacia, whoever. At Manchester City and Pep Guardiola, it doesn't matter so much because when they sign a player and they don't do very well, they just kind of get shoved aside and you don't notice, and they just bring in a new shiny toy. Claudio Bravo. They signed a goalkeeper. Weren't good enough, they signed a new one. Do you think if Onana was signed for 30 million, let's say, and had a terrible season, would United sell him and get a new keeper? There is no chance. Don't compare too much to Manchester City, okay? Because they are an anomaly of a football club. What happened to Nolito? Nolito, you remember that winger that was signed, a Spanish winger? Was that genius from Pep Guardiola and Manchester City? No, but they quickly go, okay, we didn't give this guy £400,000 a week on wages. We'll sell him and bring someone else in. Ferran Torres. Where's Ferran Torres? Oh, he's not at a club anymore. Calvin Phillips, where's he? Oh, he's on the bench. Don't compare to Manchester City too much, all right? It's very easy to say that other managers would have done better. They're in very different environments. City are a really odd club to compare to just because they're odd, really. They are an anomaly. Cancelo, that's another one. Granted, he had a bit more success. But that's what I'm talking about in terms of it's above Ten Hag. It's about the ownership at the top level. When United have players which don't do particularly well... Oh, sorry, let's talk about City. City sign a player, they don't do very well, they're gone within 24 months, 9 times out of 10. If the manager doesn't think they're good or working for the team, they're gone. The reason for that is because they're paid sensible wages. At United, you come in, you get a £400,000 a week contract, and then it's impossible to sell you. So even if you're tragic at football, you're here for 4 years minimum. That's the problem, and that's what Ten Hag has. He has a mixed squad. A squad which I still don't think it's his team. I don't think this is the team that he wants. We know that he wanted McTominay gone in the summer. We know that he wanted Harry Maguire gone. If the football club was run better, they would have been gone. So don't put it all on Ten Hag. Perfect example there as well. He wanted other players. He wanted Kim Min-jae. He wanted Frankie de Jong. He wanted Harry Kane. So don't put it all on Ten Hag, all right? Because like I've said already, Pep Guardiola has had some horrendous signings at Manchester City. Truly horrendous. Some of them have been awful. Claudio Bravo had one of the worst goalkeeping seasons we've seen from a player in the Prem. But again, at City, they just move them on and get a new player in. That's what United don't do. Someone said it. No recruitment is perfect. There is a stat that's like 50% of signings fail. Exactly. A director of football needs to be at this football club. to go a long way to solve a lot of the problems. But perhaps we're reaching too far in terms of reacting to this game. I think that is near enough there, though, our reaction to this game. I think we've covered everything I want to cover. Tomorrow morning, like I've said, we will do a proper tactical analysis of this. I'll talk about why I thought United done quite well in possession initially. And actually, to quite high up the pitch, I thought United done quite well in possession. Out of possession, it was a good start, a good first 20 minutes, a good press. De Zerbi made a tweak. Ten Hag didn't react. Brighton took control. We'll look at the first goal in particular because that really sums it up. So all of that is coming first thing tomorrow morning. I'll try and get that video out nice and early. By the way, this is the only channel I actually enjoy watching for United. Everyone else is just negative and don't really have the knowledge. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. I really appreciate those kind words. Yeah, I try to not get... I'm quite an optimistic person when it comes to football. So I try and find the brighter sides because it's so easy after a football match to go online. You go on YouTube or you go on Twitter and it's a negative place. It's a cauldron of negativity. It's quite a messy place. It's a toxic place to be. I like to try and be someone who brings a slightly different light to it, but also at the end of the day, tactically this was quite bad, so we do have to talk about it. Yeah, we try to apply as much logic as possible rather than emotion. Sometimes the emotion creeps in a little bit because I support this team. They mean a lot to me, but yeah. What I will say, right, is before we kind of wrap up, I've seen pressure on Ten Hag. Did Ten Hag get it right today? No. Did he get things wrong today? Yeah. Do I think Ten Hag has made a lot of poor decisions in his time so far? Yeah. But do I think that Arteta made a lot of mistakes at Arsenal? Yeah. I think they finished 8th for 2 seasons. They've only just got in the top 4. Let's talk about that. Let's laugh at Arsenal for a second. No? Okay. But you know what I mean? Give him time. Jurgen Klopp didn't come in and win the Champions League straight away. It was several years before he won the Premier League because it takes time. These processes take time. Pep Guardiola didn't win the league in his first season. Now, yeah, I know this is Ten Hag's second season, but what I'm saying is it takes a little bit of time. Danny Quinn saying, thanks AJ, this is the most sane channel after a defeat like that. Personally, I am 200% Erik Ten Hag. Give him time to rebuild everything. Thank you very much again for the kind words. I really appreciate it. Yeah, back Ten Hag, back Ten Hag. FP saying this fan base has shiny toy syndrome. Yeah, I think fortunately on the channel here, I think we actually have a place where it's not so bad. I think you guys are all pretty level-headed. You're all quite logical and actually have a good knowledge of the game. But Manchester United fans worldwide, oh my days, they see a player score a goal and they're the next best thing. Yeah, it's so reactionary. It's so like, oh, okay, this player misplaced a pass today, sell him, get that player in. Absolutely. But like I said, luckily we have a fan base here where, or our section of the world, of the internet, if you like, where you guys are smart. You guys are smart. I think we are going to wrap up there because I haven't eaten yet today or, since lunch. I need some food. Need some water. Got to stay hydrated. Yeah, this community is great. You guys have been brilliant, as always, in chat. Really enjoyed everyone. We've had over 1,000 views so far on this stream. 200 concurrent viewers, which means there was more than 200 of you at one moment in this stream, which is incredible. Incredible. So thank you guys very much for that. Your support has been incredible as always. In terms of this match, pretend it didn't happen, alright? Go put a film on, or go for a walk, or, I don't know, play a video game, or get in the gym. Just pretend this match didn't happen. Don't let it affect your mood too much. Tomorrow morning we'll come back with proper analysis of it. Try to ignore, to an extent, what you're hearing from certain channels. I won't mention any names, but also certain Twitter accounts because they will be very negative. Yeah, get a movie on, or play a game, or get in the gym, or go for a walk, get out in the fresh air, go to the pub. I don't mind what you do. Take your mind off this game. Pretend it didn't happen. Tomorrow we'll come back and analyse it. During the week we'll analyse the problems with United, which are plentiful. There's plenty to talk about. We'll come up with some solutions. We'll look at some more different formations. This week we've discussed the 4-4-2 diamond. We've discussed the 3-4-3 formation. So there's loads of content coming. Of course, always we've got the Scouting for United series. There's a few different players I have got my eye on at the moment with the idea that United could sign them in the future. But for today, we've had a successful stream. So before you go, quickly like the stream, subscribe to the channel, because if you do, you're a legend. I want to hit 20,000 subscribers as soon as possible, so please subscribe. Also, I think you should subscribe because we had a stream today where it didn't crash. Unlike yesterday. So apologies for that yesterday. It was a bit of an abrupt ending. But yeah, I think we are done for today. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the stream. Even if you didn't enjoy the football match, hopefully we've brought a level-headed approach to things. We will come back tomorrow. We'll break it down properly. So I'll see you in that video. Keep up the good work. Big up. Thank you guys very much. I really do appreciate it. Shout out to everyone in chat who has said anything. I really do appreciate you. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.